Hi, I'm Becky. Welcome to the direct message video tutorials. On today's episode, we're going to talk about internet safety and how to avoid getting scammed. A scam can come in many different forms, and that's the tricky part. I'm going to go over some of the most common scams, but just keep in mind that scammers are ever evolving. Scams will change over time, and so if you are equipped with these tools, you'll be able to stay ahead of the game. I'm going to break this down into 4 different areas of scams: email scams, bad websites, bad apps, and then catfishing. Any scam on email is called phishing with a PH, not to be confused with catfishing, which I'll get to later. Email phishing is extremely common and it happens to everyone. It's going to be up to you to determine whether or not an email is real or fake. We already went over a technique in a previous episode when we set up our email, but let's go over it again. When you receive an email, always check to see who the email was sent by. If the email address contains a random assortment of letters and numbers, you can be certain that the email is not from the person they say they are. Right now, I'm going to pull up some sketchy emails on the screen as an example. There are some other ways to detect whether or not an email is fraudulent. Let's go over these ways now. One of these ways is if you receive an email from a company that you might recognize, but they address you as Dear Customer. They should have your actual name if they're who they say they are. So if they say Dear Customer, that's a surefire way to tell whether or not it's real. And they might have a link in the email that they're trying to get you to click. Do not click this link. You can use the first technique as well. Check their email address to see if it seems sketchy. Another way to tell if an email is suspicious is if at any point they ask you for any banking information or your social insurance number or your credit card number. Let's give you an example of the Dear Customer email scam. Let's say we get an email from Netflix that says, Dear Customer, your account has expired. Never, ever, 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 ever click a link in a suspicious email. Another email scam, for example, is a warrant out for your arrest. This is bogus. Just call up the police department to see if they're looking for you. Trust me, if the police want to arrest you, they're not going to email you about it. Another email scam is when you receive a suspicious email from one of your friends who are asking you something out of the ordinary, like to buy something or to send them money. You should follow up with them in a different format because chances are your friends have a weak password and someone hacked into their account. Just the other day, I received an email from a very close friend asking for a favor. I replied by saying, "What do you need? I'll do anything for you." And they said, "Yeah, I'm actually really busy right now, so I was hoping you could please go out and buy some Google Play cards." And I thought, that doesn't really seem right. So I called her to see if she actually needed that. She said she got hacked. Here are some other ways on how to spot an email phishing scam. Your bank will never call you or email you to ask you for personal information such as your credit card number, your bank number, or your mother's maiden name. It's very important to be cautious while you're visiting websites that you don't recognize. A good way to tell that a website is trusted is if it's popular amongst your family and friends. If you're the only one going to a specific website, there's a good chance that it's not a good website. Another way to tell that a web page is suspicious is if it has a lot of pop-up windows. Please do not click these pop-up windows and don't click any ads on these websites. The best way to deal with it is to close the window entirely and start over again. Now let's move on to another issue, bad apps or bad programs. There's a very easy way to ensure that you're only downloading trusted apps. Only download apps from verified app stores. For Apple, computers, phones, and tablets, it's the App Store. Some of these apps may have advertisements. It's still good practice to be suspicious of them. If you want to buy an app that's not available in the App Store or Microsoft Store or Google Play, the best practice is to buy it physically from a store, such as Best Buy. The last thing I'm going to talk about is catfishing. This is scary. This might seem silly to you. People pretend to be someone they're not, or they try to romantically seduce you into sending them money. Even though it seems far-fetched, it's a really big problem because people fall for it all the time. Just make sure you trust your gut and your intuition. Chances are, if something feels off or something seems too good to be true, it is. Just remember that scams are ever evolving and scammers will do anything to try to trick you. They're creative and smart, so stay skeptical. That concludes this episode on internet safety. Thank you for tuning in to the direct message video tutorials. Click here to watch our next episode.